Year 7. Hopefully you have been doing lots of practice finding area of different shapes, because today we are going to make this a little bit more complicated, and we're going to be finding the area of composite figures, which is when we're combining two or more shapes. So that helps us fill in our first blank here. Composite figures are made up of more than one simple shape. So more is the first word, than one simple shape. Now when we say simple shape, obviously these pictures down below here, they are one shape, but the simple shapes that we're used to are rectangles, triangles, squares, and parallelograms. They're the ones that we have formulas for. So by combining those shapes, we're making these slightly more complicated figures down here, which we call composite figures. Now, the area of composite figures can be found by adding, or sometimes we might need to be subtracting the areas of simple shapes. Okay, so we're going to go into our examples now. These questions do take a little bit of working out, and please make sure that you are showing me your working out. Okay, so example 1 says, find the area of each of these composite shapes, show full working out. For A, what I can do is I want to first of all try to cut this shape up into shapes that I have formulas for. So I could draw a line down here, okay, a right angle here of course, that cuts that to be a rectangle on one side of the line, and I've got a triangle on the other side of the line. So there's two shapes. I'm going to call this shape number 1, and this one here is going to be shape number 2, and I'm going to find the area of those two shapes and add them together to make the whole shape. Now I need to make sure that I know the dimensions of the shape. The rectangle here has a 9 and a 5. The triangle, well, if the 5 is on this side of the rectangle, it must also be over here next to my triangle. And I can use the 12 meters and the 9 meters. If I subtract those, 12 take away 9 would be 3 meters for the top little part of that triangle there. Okay, so if you do that first, it makes things easier for your calculations to follow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write number 1 down here, because I'm going to find the area of my shape number 1 first. It is a rectangle. So we write down the formula for a rectangle, which is A equals BH. The base and the height of my rectangle are the 9 and the 5. So 9 times 5 equals 45. Now, you could write your units down. You can write meters squared there if you want to, but this is not my final answer, so it's okay to leave that off as long as we have the units on the final answer. So now moving on to the second shape. It is a triangle. The formula for a triangle is A equals half base times height. Now the base and the height are the ones that I've written in green. The base is 3 and the height is 5. If you write them in a different order, that's okay. So that makes 7.5 for that area. Now, the whole purpose of doing this was to get the total area of that whole shape. Now, all I need to do is add together my rectangle, which has an area of 45, and my triangle, which has an area of 7.5, to get the total area, which is 52.5 meters squared. Okay, final answer. So you can see what I mean about a bit of working out. In your test, you would be allocated marks for each of those steps, so please make sure that you show them. Let's try it again for part B. In this question, we have got 6 centimeters on the outside here, and because of these lines, that would make this outside shape going all the way around here. That would be a square. Now, rather than trying to draw some, some weird diagonal, I don't know what we would try to do in here to try and cut that shape up, instead what we can do is we can find the area of the outside square, which I'm going to call shape number 1. And this time I want to cut out this little piece from the side, which is a triangle. So that's going to be my shape number 2. Because I'm cutting out that part of the shape, I will need to subtract the areas for this question. Okay, so you need to see the difference between when I'm adding, like I did in part A, and now in B, because I'm cutting something out, I need to subtract them. Our setting out is very similar. So we start by finding the area of number 1. It's a square. So the formula for a square is A equals L squared. Then we substitute in that the length of the square is 6. And 6 squared, you can use your calculator if you need to, is equal to 36. Then we want to find the second area. The shape is a triangle, so the formula for a triangle is half base times height. Now the base of my triangle, there's no measurement written there. Having a look here, this would be my base, but remember that this is a square, so that base would actually be 6 centimeters long, and the height would be the 4 that is down here. So let's sub those in. Half times 6 for the base times 4 for the height. Type it all in, or use your head if you're good at that kind of thing, and that makes 12. Now to get the total. As we said from the beginning, I'm cutting out the triangle. So I want to start with the square, which was 36, and this time I want to subtract the 12. I'm cutting off that triangle. So 36 take away 12 is 24 centimeters squared for my final answer. Okay, so you'll find that there's not as many questions on each page for this section of work because you need to do so much working out. So don't rush it. Make sure you're showing all the steps. Check your answers carefully at the end. You'll be doing 2 sections of work on this over the next 2 lessons. So today you'll have a look at exercise 11, which is on pages 34 and 30 to 38. And then next lesson you'll do some more practice, which is exercise 12, pages 39 to 41.